Greetings, everyone. Pete Pardo here from Sea of Tranquility. Welcome to another episode of What's Hot with Sea of Tranquility. Because it's Wednesday, new review day here on the channel, as always. And as I promised, I got the crew, the executive team from SOT on the Zoom to talk about Whom Gods Destroy Insanium, Inside Out music. Stephen, you want to talk about Stephen Reid and George Lamie? Let me introduce them before we start. I start asking questions, right? Pete, don't jump the gun. Like, what's going on? I'm used to, sorry guys, I'm used to doing these very early in the morning, and it's like later in the day today, and I'm kind of like thrown off my schedule a little bit, but that's okay. We wanted to make sure we got Stephen involved because, of course, he's on a different time schedule than we are, right? Just a little
Who
bit.
knew? Who knew?
Who knew, right? I should be used to this because I talk to him and Simon every other Wednesday, right? And we do this exact same thing. So
Yes.
anyway,
So my time is ahead of yours, but you're recording later because of me, and that's true.
yes.
Go figure.
Go figure. And then we had this stupid daylight savings thing that happened, so that threw us off a little bit more.
Yes, we're in this 2 or 3 week twilight zone where you guys have changed and we have not. Well, we will at the end of the month,
Yes,
just to
exactly.
make things much simpler.
And just so everybody knows, not that we want to get all Friday morning at the Funhouse, we spent about 15 minutes before we started talking about the weather, and once again trying to figure out how Celsius and Fahrenheit differs, because I've been told it a million times and I still don't understand it. So I think I have it figured out. It's like a 50-degree thing. Anyway, that's a story for another day.
He
Anyway,
doesn't. He doesn't. He doesn't know. He doesn't know.
I still
I
don't
know.
know.
I
I'll
just
forget.
refuse to
I will
tell
forget tomorrow. I
him.
guarantee you I will forget tomorrow. Anyway, George, you want to tell everybody who is in this brand new band, Whom Gods Destroy? Supergroup of sorts, right?
Yeah, rising from the ashes of Sons of Apollo, Derek Sherinian and Ron Thal decide to go forward. Mike became busy with all of his other bands, and they wanted to move on, so they move on. They did. They get a singer that I think they wanted to go heavier, so they get a singer in Dino Jelusick who is better fit for that. And the rhythm section are West Coast guys, along with Derek. Yas Nomura on bass. He was in Resonance Project, had a good record last year. And Bruno Valverde from Angra, who spends a lot of time on the West Coast as well. The third Angra drummer, and for me, my favorite of the three.
And I don't want to forget the other two because I know they'll be watching. So there's Ron, Mr. Bumblefoot himself. If you haven't caught my interview with him a couple weeks ago, please go check it out. Well, there's Dino. Where's Derek? There he is. The man with the who carries the big keyboard, right? So
Carries it with him.
what's that?
Carries it with him everywhere.
Everywhere, right? Yeah. Some of us carry toothbrushes and all sorts of other stuff. Derek's got his big keyboard. So prog metal for sure. Different than Sons of Apollo, right, Stephen? I would say.
Yes, interesting discussions we've been having in the last couple of days because I would suggest that this is progressive caps lock on metal,
Yes.
whereas Sons of Apollo are probably more progressive metal, if that makes any sense. I would say that this is a much heavier beast in general. I would say that, I mean, the soloing is off the charts, as you would expect from the two main guys that are involved, although everybody is pretty much fantastic. But it's very song based at the same time, which I like. I mean, the whole lineup is absolutely on the money. I think one of the features that I took from my early listens, though, was that it's less about just the elasticity of who can do what, if that makes sense. This is much more, to me anyway, focused and to the point. And they've gone and got themselves, and I am a dyed in the wool card carrying Jeff Scott Soto fan, but they've gone and got themselves a vocalist who is just perfect for this. Do you know, he carries the heft to really just gruff it up when it needs to be done. He can really sing. I mean, Dino is the real deal. And you would argue, looking at the lineup here, that he's kind of the new kid on the block that's in this band. He does not sound like it. I mean, don't get me wrong, he's rubbing shoulders with some big guys prior to this as a keyboard player as well, it has to be said too. So he brings an awful lot to this band. But yes, it's an interesting. I've said this in the review that I put up on the web scene. You shouldn't go back and compare and contrast but you can't help it, and it's
Can't
lots
help
of
it.
fun.
Oh, for sure.
Let's be honest. It's good fun to kind of go back and listen. I mean, Sons of Apollo really hit me hard when it came out. The two albums came out. The first one especially, I think the debut's really on the money. And then I listened to this in comparison, and this is really, it's a notch up, in my humble opinion.
It's more intense, I think, at least for
Yeah.
me anyway. And I think they've tried really hard to make the songs a little bit more compact, and in the process, they're a lot meatier, I think. I hate to say it because, you know, the other two, the Sons of Apollo albums have two guys named Portnoy and Sheehan, but I get much more groove out of this album. You guys hear that? I mean, just the grooves are just ridiculous on this record,
Yeah.
which I think is really good. And, you know, Dino, I've been following him for a while now, and I think he's a terrific, terrific singer and talent. You know, for me, you know, he's got this kind of like Russell Allen roar, but like on a song like The Decision, I'm hearing a little Jeff Scott Soto there as well, right? Maybe
Yeah.
it's just the way he conveys melodies on choruses, I think, because he can do that. And so for me, I'm getting this kind of cool, like kind of Symphony X vibe, a little bit of Dream Theater, and then a totally other beast altogether, which is just them, right? Because I think there's a lot of originality here, other than some little references here and there. I don't know, George, you want to go take us through the tracks? I guess we'll kind of talk about them briefly. We got, if you get the CD, you get 10 tracks on here with the bonus track Requiem, which I think is pretty cool.
Well, in the Name of the War is the opener, and was the first single, the video single, and there's no doubt that that's the right call. It encompasses everything that they're good at, everything that they want to put out there, everything that they're about is in the Name of War. I mean, so that was a home run.
Yep.
Over Again is next, and I think Steven and I are in lockstep. I haven't talked to you about it. This is kind of, for us, it was not a great choice as a single. It seems like it's more to all the way to one side of their personality than some of the other tracks they could have picked. It's the most heavy, Dino taking like a Phil Anselmo approach with the vocals, a little gruff, a little commanding. You know, it's a good track, but I was surprised at that as a second single. Then you said The Decision. That right now is my favorite track. That's Dino's melodic side. I don't know about anybody else, but I came in with him. I saw the video where he did a cover of Ark Burn the Sun. So I had this thought in my head of him sounding like Yorn. And so I like his melodic voice more than the more gruff stuff that he does. And that tune, he really brings it in. The vocal melodies on that tune, killer.
It's one of my favorites too. Yeah.
The
Yeah.
guitar solos on that as well. Oh,
Yeah. The first three songs, both guys solo, and all of them are all ripping. I mean, boom, boom, boom. Just, they let you know. Someone we know had said that they thought that the guys were more restrained on this, and I'm the opposite. I think they're more unleashed on this, at least on the soloing end.
yeah. I like the way that, for me anyway, I think that they carry the burden equally as well. There's lots of solo spots where you'll get some ripping guitars and you go, oh, what a great guitar solo. And then suddenly Derek comes in with an amazing kind of keyboard passage that backs it up. And with a lot of back and forth and to and fro, it sounds really natural. I really, really like it. It sounds so comfortable together. It's very impressive.
It's really evident to me that these two guys really enjoy playing together. And I think they're very, very comfortable alongside each other. And, you know, we've seen lots of, I mean, just like Derek and Simon Phillips, right? I mean, Derek, I think, has this way of partnering up with other musicians where this sort of thing happens. This is not unusual in his career. You know, you could talk as well about Virgil Donati, right? Derek he's that type of guy. He likes matching himself up with another like-minded musician and making magic happen. And I think it happens all throughout this album.
And if you remember right, with the press material when Sons of Apollo first came out, it was Mike's idea to get Ron, and Derek was kind of unfamiliar with him. He kind of knew the whole Guns N' Roses thing. So he was like, really? And then he heard him and it was like, oh, okay. it ended up being those two that really clicked.
Yeah, for sure. All right, keep taking us through, George. What do you crawl?
Yeah, track 5, you got Find My Way Back, which is the ballad of the progression. It's a good song. It kind of reminds me of like late 70s, early 80s rock ballad. Derek leaning into the B3 a lot. Really good Dino with his melodic voice. In the sequence, it's kind of a little out of place maybe, but it's a good song, definitely. Crucifer is next. That's again closer to Over Again with the heavy stuff. Maybe a little more melodic over the chorus, but the verses really hit hard. And then at track 7, you got Keeper of the Gate. That's kind of a mid-tempo tune, ominous feel. Again, Dino sounding melodic. That's a good track. Track 8, you got the instrumental, Hypernova 158, which was actually the last tune written for the album. They felt it was a little short and they needed to pad out the time, and Ron just, hey, how about this? Boom.
That is not padding, is it?
No, this is one of the best songs. I mean, it's killer, fast. It's short though, 3.5 minutes.
Mhm.
And the feature solo is not Ron or Derek, it's Yas Nomura with the bass. His only bass solo on here, but it's killer.
Yeah.
He's the guy that started out playing guitar, but he obviously is not a guitarist playing bass. He could play bass. I mean,
Yeah.
it's killer. Then you got the title track, Insanium. That's the epic of the album, 8.5 minutes. Again, this is probably up in the upper half of the album for me. And then you close with Requiem. It's another melodic tune, verging on ballady. Not really, but a little bit. It's a great closer. The closing three, the opening three and the closing three are really just amazing. And the stuff in between is good, but a little more different colors of the palette.
Yeah, I mean, Find My Way Back's an interesting choice. It's a good song. It's a little out of place, in my humble opinion. It just feels. I'm all for variance, and albums need to progress and then recede sometimes as well, so you can kind of come back and then build towards that closing three. It takes us. There's a pile of melodic rock behind me here, as anyone that watches the UK Connection will know. I'm all for the softie. It doesn't feel right here though, and it is a little bit. There's a way to do a softie and make it feel like it's part of this album. This softie feels a little bit like, I don't know, like a Whitesnake ballad. I mean, Dino's sound, he's keyboard player in Whitesnake, and arguably how much vocals is he doing there? An awful lot that are very good. So there's not a great leap to kind of think, well, he sounds a bit like Coverdale here. Well, of course he does. But it kind of moves it somewhere else. His voice is so malleable. It's easy to pull, he sounds a bit like, I don't know, Ronnie James Dio on Keeper of the Gates. That's a little bit kind of Dio's Sabbathy era for me. I like the way that works. You hear a bit of Yorn in there. There's a bit of Jeff Scott Soto. There's a bit of Russell Allen. What a singer. He can cover all of this ground and do it so well and still sound like himself at the same time. He doesn't just sound like a clone of anybody. Very impressive. But that one song kind of just takes a little step too far where you kind of go, what album am I listening to? Oh, and then we're back in again. You think, okay, that's fine. We're back on.
It's weird how it's right in the middle of the album.
Yeah.
Right? It's almost like you get all these bangers leading up to that. It's like, all right, I'll go take a bathroom break for a couple minutes and then I'll come back, and then you go out with the rest of the album. And like you said, it's not a bad song by any means.
No, it sounds like the bonus track.
Yeah. Yeah.
Had you stuck
To
that
me,
on.
Requiem, I think, sounds more like the album,
Yeah.
right? You get that big roaring Hammond organ at the beginning, even though it is kind of melodic, it's still pretty hefty, I think. And Find My Way Back to me sounds like that's kind of like, here's our little bonus track, and maybe we'll release that as a single and see how that does for people who might not be into the rest of this stuff, right?
Yeah. And I'm not hating on it. It's really good. It's really good. It's just, it changes the momentum in the middle of the album. That's the only thing about it that I would suggest.
It's probably supposed to, but like you, I was looking for a different type of ballad, maybe something a little more, I don't know, more minor feel, a little more ominous. This is
Yes.
it's a different feel, like a hard rock feel.
Yeah, it lacks for the drama that is elsewhere in the album. I think that's a good way of kind of, the whole album is it's not grandiose, it's not pompous, it's not overblown, but it's not far away. Do you know what I mean? It kind of verges on that. There's an awful lot of kind of drama and darkness in there with a lot of light and shade too. And then this is maybe just a little bit too one note for me personally. On this album, outside this album, I would tell you it's a really good song.
Yeah. What do you guys think of the production of it overall?
I think it's good. I don't know if it's exceptional, but I've never had a moment where I said, this could be this could be that. No, everything sounds good.
Yeah, I would echo that. It's never been a sort of aspect that I've focused in on, which means that it's doing its job. It doesn't make me think, oh wow, the production of this is phenomenal, but it's definitely not a problem. It's not. It doesn't sound too modern as well, which is a good thing, because I think that some of the approach that they've got musically is kind of now. This feels like an album from now, but the production isn't trying to drag it in that direction. And it's not as brick walled as we often get with certain places. This is not one of these albums that I've listened to and you kind of go, doesn't do that. We're starting a little bit to step away from that, I think, in the last kind of year and a bit, and I'm delighted by that as well, I have to say.
Yeah, as far as like heavy music goes, this is not like an Andy Sneap production, right? So this does not sound like a new Saxon album or a new Judas Priest album or a Testament album or an Overkill album, right? You don't hear that big wall of crunch guitars up front over everything. I think this is more balanced across the board. I do get, like I said, I kind of hinted at the beginning, I do get a lot more bottom end on this record than a lot of other, whether progressive metal or heavy metal albums that we've heard in recent years, I think, which I kind of appreciate. I don't mind that at all. And I think it's kind of welcome, right? Because we don't want this. I don't think any of us wanted this to sound like everything else that's out there, because we do get a lot of releases that have a similar kind of look and feel. And I don't think this is really that at all, which I kind of like.
Yeah, I would
Yeah,
be struggling with that.
it's
Sorry,
not overly clean. It sounds very organic.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's one of the, actually, when you've hit the nail on the head there, George, that's one of the key aspects of this album, I think. It's difficult to not take a step back sometimes and look at albums as projects, because an awful lot of things come and go. This feels like a band and it sounds like a band. It sounds very natural. It sounds very right, both in its production and the songwriting, which is the real strength, and in the performances too. I really like the fact that they don't want to step on each other's toes, solo wise, but they're not worried about it. Everyone gets their spot and a chance to shine, but I don't think anyone's kind of going, well, do you know what? Derek had this long in this song, so I really think the guitars need to do this long in that song. That's not been what they've done here. This is just good songwriting with great players. Go and enjoy yourself.
Yep. Yeah, for sure. And I like, and you hinted at it again there. I like the fact this is a very song-based album. One of the things that I've heard from a lot of people in recent years when it comes to prog metal, it's like, you got these bands that like they're trying to do the Dream Theater thing, and every album's got to have a 20-minute epic and all the long solos and all that. It's not what this is all about. There's plenty of soloing, but it's all tight, jaw-dropping stuff that doesn't overextend its bounds. And when you have the longest track is 8.5 minutes long, that's, as Simon Bray always says, that's pretty concise, I think, for a band like this.
Yeah, the soloing is like in the songs where solos are supposed to be. They don't have these built out interludes and unison runs and all that stuff. Nothing wrong with that stuff, but
No.
that's not what this is. This is, all about songs, but the solos are virtuoso type solos.
Yeah, I would agree. Yeah. I've been trying to think of like what my 3 favorite songs are to kind of like recommend to people to go listen to first. Personally, I'm going to go with The Decision, In the Name of War, and maybe Crawl, but I'm almost like, God, Hypernova 158 is just so damn good. I don't want to recommend an instrumental because it's the only one on here, but it's really good. I mean, you really can't go wrong with anything on here. I don't know what you guys would recommend as your top 3.
The Decision, In the Name of War, and Hypernova 158. Because my friends like instrumentals, but
yeah,
if I didn't, the next track would be Insanium, the title track.
Yeah, that's really good too.
Insanium would make my top 3. I really like, I like the opening 3, but you've limited me to 3 choices, so I'm going to say In the Name of War. That's how you open an album.
Yeah.
And Over Again is the one that when the album is finished playing, that's the chorus line that's in my head. I really like that one as well. So that's my theme. The Name of War over again in the title track.
Okay. Now you can go, of course, and read Steven's review on the webzine, which was a very fine review. And you want to tell everybody what you gave it, if you still stand by that?
Oh, I gave it 4.5 out of 5, and yes, I definitely stand by that. This is, I mean, we're only mid-March. There's a lot of good music has come out this year already. The standard is high across a lot of genres, but this is going to be up right there at the end of the year. For me, anyway, this is going to be one of these albums that I'm going to be considering for Album of the Year. I mean, you say that in March is a long way to go, but I'm confident in saying that I've really, really enjoyed this an awful lot.
Yeah. George?
4.5 from me too. I was battling for 4.5, but it just has staying power. And it's the fact that it's song based that will have you replaying it, and that it's 4.5. It sticks with you.
I would agree with that. I would agree. I'm hopeful to put up my roundtable review next to Steven's sometime over the next couple of days. So looking forward to putting some of this down into words. That's always an interesting thing. You know, Steven and I have been doing this a long time, and it's always interesting how you can sometimes say things a little bit differently when you're typing them out to put on a website review as opposed to talking about it here in front of a camera. But I think I got that all percolated in my head, so I think I'll be able to put something down. So it won't be as good as Steven's, of course, but the master craftsman over here. I mean, come on, it's like, you know. So there you have it, everybody. 4.5 out of 5 all around here. So of course, your homework is to somehow get out there and check it out. The release date is what, Friday, I believe?
Friday.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's not out yet, but I believe you can go hear most of this. But if you want to wait until it comes out on Friday, when you've got your copy, or however you get it, whether you buy the vinyl, the CD, or the download or the stream, whatever you're doing, let us know what you think down in the comments below. Rate it, and we'll see you next week on What's Hot with Sea of Tranquility. Wednesdays, of course, new review day. Visit us on the web at www.seaoftranquility.org. We're on Facebook. We're on YouTube all together, all the damn time.
All the damn time.
Please subscribe if you haven't already, and click on that notification bell so you get alert of all of our content as it posts. And please do hit the like button before you leave. For Stephen Reid and George Lamie, I am Pete Pardo. Thanks for watching. Tune in for more content here on SOT. Till then, have a good week, everybody. Take care.